Seeing who the top 10 rarest Pokemon out of every Pokemon game there is takes a little research and a lot of Bulbapedia. Luckily I did that so you don't have to, and found for you all the 10 Pokemon that can contest the title of the rarest Pokemon in all of Pokemon. It is true that some Pokemon take additional difficult steps to obtain to encounter their overworld sprite, and that even things like mystery gift events for special Pokemon are discontinued. But with both of those, the Pokemon is guaranteed to show up at the end, and we're focusing on what's rare in the wild. These 10 rare Pokemon are not guaranteed to be found regardless of the method you use, and will definitely make you a little frustrated with the number of encounters you'll have to go through. We're going through every game to see which locations in which games have the toughest Pokemon to find in a wild battle, and what those exact chances are. We won't be including shiny Pokemon or Pokemon forms, sorry Antique Form Sinisty and White Flowerful Baby, but we might go into those in a future video if you're all interested in that. But today, let's find out who are the top 10 rarest Pokemon to encounter in all of the Pokemon games. Number 10. Chimecho. While it was very common to see this little guy in the anime with James having one on his party, it was actually much harder to encounter a Chimecho during your playthrough of the original Generation 3 games than to see it more than once in the anime. This is because Chimecho is only in one location in the entirety of Hoenn, and with only a 2% chance to encounter it. You can find Chimecho on the summit of Mount Pyre, right at the top in the grass. The encounter rate was up to 5% in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, with the same exact exclusive location to help out any trainers that might be giving up. But Chimecho, in the original Generation 3 games, managed to be one of the toughest Pokemon to find, even if you just had to walk through the grass. Number 9. Dreepy. Dreepy is a Pokemon that's probably fresh on the minds of anyone who played Sword and Shield. It's probably also fresh on the minds of people who boycotted Sword and Shield because for some reason it seems like they happen to know a lot about this game without playing it. Nevertheless, Dreepy manages to make it to number 9 as its rate of encounter fluctuates between only 1 and 2%. It might seem tied with Chimecho as you can get at the same percent of encounter in the wild, but to get that additional 1% added onto Dreepy's encounter rate, you need to make sure the Lake of Outrage is going through a thunderstorm or is dealing with heavy fog. This is easy to create through time manipulation, but you're still going to have to sift through the Pokemon as it doesn't go any higher than a 2% rate of encounter. The added mechanic of weather does inch Dreepy slightly ahead of Chimecho, as Chimecho will naturally be at 2% no matter what. You are given the option to catch an overworld Dracloak in the wild to breed a Dreepy, which I recommend as it's much easier, but in terms of the rarity of encountering a Pokemon in the wild over just owning one in the game, Dreepy edges it out just a bit as you'll need to harness some weather bending to have a better, yet still rare chance of finding one while walking through the grass. Number 8. The Safari Zone is home to many Pokemon we have struggled to catch. From the step meter, to choosing between rocks or bait before throwing a ball based on the rotations of the moon, it's been a memorable layout to be stuck in while trying to find the right Pokemon. There are Pokemon in the Safari Zone that have a 1% chance of encounter. However, all of those 1% Pokemon have a second location in the Safari Zone with a 4% encounter rate as well. But even though that sounds pretty rare, what if I told you in the original Generation 1 games, there are Pokemon outside the Safari Zone that contain the rarest Pokemon in all of Generation 1 that you can encounter? The most difficult Pokemon to find is actually a tie with Golduck in Pokemon Red and Dodrio in Pokemon Yellow. Golduck in Pokemon Red can only be found in the Seafoam Islands on the first floor at a 1% chance of encountering it. The reason we're mentioning Pokemon Red is because in Pokemon Blue, Golduck has 2 locations, a 1% chance on the bottom second floor and a 4% chance on the fourth bottom floor. This makes the Golduck in Pokemon Red, and not Blue, the rarest Pokemon to encounter with only one exclusive 1% location throughout the entire game. Along with that, however, comes Dodrio in Pokemon Yellow, with the same rate of encounter. Dodrio can only be found in a patch of grass on Route 17 with an exclusive 1% chance. This is the only location you can find a fully evolved Dodrio in this game, and at such a rare chance of encountering it, it'll take some time before you get to see one. An even more interesting part is that there actually isn't a Pokemon to compete with Golduck and Dodrio in Pokemon Blue, as although Slowbro is similar to Golduck, specifically in the Seafoam Islands, it's actually obtainable in the wild in the Cerulean Cave and on Route 23 at a 25% chance by fishing it up with a Super Rod. I tried to find a Pokemon for Pokemon Blue that's exclusively 1% like Golduck and Dodrio, and the closest I could find is Dewgong in the Seafoam Islands, but also has a 4% chance in both Red and Blue. So if you know which Pokemon is supposed to fill this spot of exclusively being 1% in Pokemon Blue, then let me know in the comments and I'll give you a little reward. Like a little heart on your comment or something. But for now, number 8 goes to Pokemon Red's Golduck and Pokemon Yellow's Dodrio. Number 7. Abomasnow. While Abomasnow in Generation 6 is also a Pokemon you can only encounter at 1% in one location, but its location makes it a bit harder to encounter. Abomasnow can only be found on Kalos' Route 17 in the thick snow, meaning you have to ride on your Mamoswine to walk through the snow for any encounters. It's a bit slower to plow through the snow on a Mamoswine to get a single encounter compared to just biking through the grass or caves. And while it's a very small change in encountering these Pokemon, it does make Abomasnow a bit harder to encounter, as all of these Pokemon still only have a 1% chance. Number 6. Fibas. Fibas is a Pokemon that will constantly be brought up as a contender for the rarest wild Pokemon to run into. However, this section is for encountering it in Generation 8 and not Generation 3. In Generation 3, Fibas does have a requirement to be found on 6 fishing tiles in the Route 119 lake, however once you've found one of those tiles, it's easy to catch. It is randomly generated and changes with time, which adds to the difficulty, but there aren't too many tiles to look at, and the tiles that have Fibas in them actually have it officially labeled as a common Pokemon to catch. In Generation 8, however, catching it in the wild requires you to fish on Route 2 with only a 1% chance no matter what. They did put more spots with slightly higher chances in the DLC, but in terms of just the base game, with a 1% chance of fishing and a 2% chance of spawning in max raid battles, it would take longer to fish one out with the animation and encounters needed over walking through the snow on a slow Mamoswine. Even with all the prep you could do for max raid battles, it is rather rare and difficult with these low chances. At least I think so. Now, I did say they gave you more spots to fish and surf with higher chances in the DLC, but seeing as we're separating versions, getting a Fibas in just the base games of Sword and Shield would be the hardest wild encounter for a Fibas out of any games. If you did want those extra chances, you'd have to buy the DLC, and the DLC is sort of its own continuation game, even if it's added onto the base game. Number 5. Dragonite. It's pretty rare to find a full-blown, fully evolved pseudo-legendary 3rd stage dragon in the wild. And it's no exception, as Dragonite pushes the boundaries of what the 1% could be. Dragonite can be found in the wild in the 5th generation in Pokemon Black 1 and White 1. You can find it in the Dragon Spiral Tower at 1%. What makes this rarer than the rest is the fact that you have to fish it out in rippling water. There isn't a set way to manipulate the rippling water to appear, but you can surf with max repels or walk around the area till you see one and then fish in it to try and get yourself a Dragonite. This is another layer to the wedding cake of rarity that we have going on here, as some of the last few Pokemon have been exclusively 1%, with Dragonite joining them, and then needing some rippling water to occur just to have that chance even come into play. It is a nice indicator, however, seeing as you'll know the spots to go to when they show up, but the wait for the rippling water, the fishing animation, and making sure you reel in a Dragonite without messing up adds more time to the rare Pokemon speedrun split. Number 4. Salamance and Volcarona. Pokemon Sun and Moon introduced SOS battles. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon managed to use this mechanic to create some Pokemon that might shock you when they were called into battle. These two Pokemon being Salamance and Volcarona. The chances of each appearing are the same, so while that might sound appealing, it just means that they have an equally low chance. To obtain either of these Pokemon in the wild, you need to go to the area that contains their pre-evolutions. Larvesta can only be found in Ultra Sun and Moon in the lush jungle with a 1% chance of encountering it, and Bagon can be in 2 locations in these games on Route 3 and Kala'e Bay. It has a 10% chance of being encountered on Kala'e Bay, but a 0% chance of it calling for a Salamence. So you'll have to get the one on Route 3, where its rarity is up to having a 1% chance due to these Bagons being able to call for help from a Salamence. Now we bring you back to this, where you might also be wondering what makes these 1% chance Pokemon even rarer than the last, and that's because you need to proc multiple SOS calls from either Pokemon to get your Volcarona or Salamence to appear in the wild. You can use your Adrenaline Orb and lower the health of the Bagon or Larvesta to make it more likely to appear, but the fact that you have to encounter the pre-evolutions at such a rare chance to then have an uncommon chance of its fully evolved version showing up means that there's a layer of chance on chance. What's also rare in a different sense about Salamance and Volcarona is that you can catch them at a level lower than what they fully evolve at. This is only able to be done with very few Pokemon, and while it's not rare in the sense of chance, it's rare to see Pokemon like Lance's underleveled Dragonite show up in the wild. Volcarona can be found from levels 41 to 44, and Salamance can actually be found from levels 9 to 12, meaning you can get an elusive level 9 Salamance. In terms of chance, Salamance and Volcarona are both the same, but in terms of which is cooler, a slightly underleveled Volcarona or a level 9 Salamance, then I'd have to give that trophy to Salamance. Number 3. Hidden Grotto Pokemon. This part contains a number of Pokemon from Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, as Hidden Grottos have managed to add another layer onto finding rare Pokemon. The Pokemon that are exclusive to this method of catching and have a 1% chance are Granbull in the Grove on Route 2, Lombre in the Grove on Route 3, and Murkrow in the Grove in Pinwheel Forest. They can only be exclusively found in Hidden Grottos in the Generation 5 sequels. Medicham and Hariyama also have a 1% chance, but it depends on the version of the game you have. Medicham has a 15% encounter rate in White 2, but a 1% chance in Black 2. Hariyama has a 15% chance in Black 2, and a 1% chance in White 2. Dragonite can also be found in Hidden Grottos with a 1% chance, but it can still be found in the Rippling Waters in these sequels as well, so its rarity stays the same at number 4. Hidden Grottos make these exclusive 1% encounters a lot harder, as you have a general 5% chance of having the Grottos themselves regenerate, after every 256 steps you take. You can increase the 5% chance of encountering a Pokemon with the Hidden Grotto Pass power. This method of finding a wild Pokemon requires a significant amount of patience, as to get Lombre, Granbull, Murkrow, or Medicham and Hariyama depending on the game, you'll have to keep checking after 256 steps to then only get a 1% chance of any of these Pokemon showing up after the generally 5% chance of it regenerating. As such, these are some of the hardest Pokemon to meet in the wild. Number 2. One fun fact about the Hidden Grottos that no other game has is that they contain 2 Pokemon that have a less than 1% chance with the same method. The Hidden Grottos in Lostlorn Forest can contain Heracross and Pinsir, and depending on the game you have, finding them in the Hidden Grotto will always be less than 1%. In Black 2, Heracross has a 0.25% chance, where Pinsir has a 0.75% chance. However, in the games where they have a 0.25 Grotto chance, you are able to find them in the grass of Lostlorn Forest and Route 12 with a 5% chance. But in their counterpart games, you'll be forced to only encounter them in the Hidden Grottos with a 0.75% chance, making Pinsir the rarest Pokemon of Pokemon Black 2, and Heracross the rarest Pokemon of Pokemon White 2. But the other 1% from this method still deserve their spot. Number 1. Munchlax. Munchlax in Generation 4 is the biggest pain to encounter in the wild of any game. Now, there are ways to manipulate the game into making the chance higher, but in our naive must-have everything natural Herbalife sense, Munchlax is the hardest and rarest Pokemon to encounter in the wild. It can only be found on honey trees with a 1% chance. There's a 9% chance for nothing showing up, so you getting nothing is more common than getting a Munchlax. To even get a Pokemon from a honey tree, you would have to go buy honey, find a tree, slather said honey tree with honey, wait 6 hours, and then come back to check on it if anything even managed to show up. If you forget about it and leave it unchecked for 24 hours, both the honey and the Pokemon will be gone. Changing the DS's clock will also have no impact on the honey tree's timer, so at minimum, you'll be waiting 6 hours, which is significantly more time than it takes to encounter and catch any of the previous Pokemon on this list. Munchlax brings another challenge on top of that, where only 4 out of the total 21 honey trees throughout Sinnoh will be capable of drawing a Munchlax. This is calculated by your trainer ID and secret ID, which chooses the 4 trees you can even get the rare chance on. Even more time is added on to encountering Munchlax, as getting to the trees with a fly animation is usually even longer than walking through grass for any other Pokemon. Essentially, this is a 1% chance with additional time-consuming steps. You can't even get a Snorlax anywhere to breed this little guy. So to get your first Snorlax, you have to go through this method of catching a Munchlax to evolve it into one. This makes the Generation 4 Munchlax the rarest possible Pokemon to encounter in the wild and obtain out of all Pokemon of any game. At least out of Pokemon that aren't shiny.